Eliminating Errors: The Evolution of the Eraser by Max van Oerstel. What was a brilliant invention that could remove every writing mistake ever made? Also, did you know there is truly a scientific relationship between the pencil and the eraser? The eraser is the greatest writing tool since the pencil. The pencil allows you to create, and the eraser allows you to fix mistakes and continue to work on your masterpieces to improve them. An example of this is the molecules in the eraser are stickier than the paper. When the eraser is rubbed over the graphite, the marks prefer to stick to the eraser more than the paper. Isn't that amazing? Although they are most often pink, erasers come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. It may seem they have always been around, but on the contrary, they have only been around since the 1700s. There are many materials that were used before erasers, and writers had a few ways to remove marks from paper. In Japan, people would cut off the crust of bread, soak the uncrusted bread, and roll it into a ball. The ancient Greeks used wax tablets to erase things, while other cultures used rough stone like pumice. Some of the negatives to these were that the bread would mold and have to be thrown away. The stones could easily rip the paper and cause you to have to use more paper, and the tablets would have to be held over a flame to melt them, to erase the ink. This is why the eraser is such a big breakthrough, because they last for years and aren't hard to use. The first actual erasers were made out of natural rubber. Charles-Marie de Lac-Médian, a French explorer in South America, came across Native Americans collecting tree sap used to make bouncing balls. Contaminian found it very interesting, so he brought some of the sap from the Hava Brazilian tree to scientists to observe. One of the people that discovers rubber's erasing property was Edward Narn. He was a British scientist who was one day writing and made a mistake. He went to grab a piece of bread and accidentally clutched a rubber ball. Narn discovered that rubber makes writing disappear. Without this accident, we might not have one of the greatest writing inventions ever made, the rubber eraser. Frank Lloyd Wright said, "An architect's most useful tools are an eraser and the drafting board, and a wrecking bar at sight." Another bit of wise words from German scholar Max Muller. Erasers are for people who make mistakes. Van Dyck replied, "Erasers are for people who are willing to correct their mistakes." Once Edward Narn learned of rubber's erasing properties, it became a very popular item. Between the years 1770 and 1778, it was given the name rubber. The erasers at this time weren't very good because they fell apart after a while and were very crumbly. If they sat in the sun for some time, they would become very stinky and disgusting. In 1839, Charles Goodyear, an American chemist, created a way to cure rubber called vulcanization. This is caused by heating rubber and mixing it with sulfur. This causes rubber to be more resilient and less fragile, like the old erasers were. The original pencils with erasers were in 1858. Hyman Lipman was the first to patent our modern-day pencil. This tool design was graphite surrounded by wood with a frugel. There are a metal strip on the end of the pencil. The frugel was plugged with an eraser. In 1862, the patent for the eraser was bought for $100,000, worth about $2 million today, by Joseph Rockefeller. By the 1920s, almost every pencil in the United States of America had an eraser on its end. On the contrary, most British pencils did not have an eraser on the end, and they were not pink if they did. Since the process of making erasers has changed quite a bit now the base of the eraser is made with vinyl or synthetic rubber. It is also mixed with a combination of sulfur, vegetable oils, pumice, and other glass powders. They are then shaped, packaged, and shipped off to warehouses, businesses, and stores. The most iconic eraser is your standard block, which is pink. However, there are thousands of shapes and colors. The color depends on which pumice is used in the eraser recipe. These amazing tools come in a variety of different types, such as art gum, kneaded, and electric erasers. Art gum erasers are made of soft, coarse rubber and are excellent for erasing large areas because they don't damage the paper and crumble easily. A kneaded eraser or putty eraser is for charcoal or graphite, and it absorbs and does not leave a residue on the paper. Poster putty is a stronger lifting eraser than a kneaded one. An electric eraser is an eraser attached to a rod that spins on an electric motor. The eraser is a frontier in history because the eraser is the greatest writing tool since the pencil. Although the pencil is an amazing invention, the eraser allows you for many new pathways and corrections in the writing and arts.